To be sovereign at the level of the monad is very, very, very simple. It is to know who you are, identity, what you are, form, and how you serve expression. And when we say expression, most of you run about thinking about what career that might get you if you play your cards right, if you appease this God that may or may not deliver the goods as you say they should be delivered. And your idea of manifestation once again is moored within the common field, which holds limited properties and limited expectation. We say this for a reason, because indeed we are liberating you from the beliefs that you have accrued in the common field, what is allowed, what is permitted, even what God is or can or should be. To understand yourself as in, of, and with God is to realize the self at the level of presence and being. And at the level of presence and being aligned in what we call the upper room, which is the next strata of vibration above, beyond, but coinciding with the common field, you can understand that who you are becoming is who you have always been. And we use the word becoming intentionally because indeed you are evolving and becoming the divine self as manifest. To become the divine self as manifest is to know who you have always been. You are not inventing the divine, but you are recreating the divine in your agreement or accord to and with it. The presumption that some of you hold that this means you look other, that you have other jobs, other lives, live on some other idea of planet, must be remedied in a certain way. What is altered through your presence and being operating from what we call the upper room is the release of the past idea of what reality is, has been, can, and must be. And reality must be understood as indoctrinated information that you have been in agreement to. I am in agreement to the day of the week, to the time of day on the clock. I am in agreement to my role in my family, to the government of my nation. I am in agreement to what I despise. I am in agreement to what I love. I am in agreement to my dreams and my yearnings and my desires. And I am in agreement to what I believe I can be, have, and know. These ideas of self that you utilize and claim again and again and again claim the reality that you abide in, and these ideas wrought through the common field, indoctrinated through past identification as a woman, as a man, as a servant, as a king, as a beggar, as a teacher, as a disciple, however you might name yourself, has claimed you in an historical legacy that binds you to the properties of the manifest world. Now, the properties of the manifest world can be understood as dense vibration. When something has been named, an idea has been named, an idea has been claimed as form, I will see the clay and I will make a pot from the clay, and I will call the clay made into a pot of this or of that. We will call it a vase, a jug, a coffee mug. You may call it what you wish. You hold a relationship to the thing. When you understand that the mud that created the coffee mug, or whatever you have named it, is of the earth and the earth is of God, you realize or know the earth as an expression of the monad and the God that can only be known in truth. When you understand that everything known in form that has been claimed is dense, has its own vibrational agreement, you will understand that the tone that surrounds you within an octave of tone, a vibrational agreement to an octave, you will understand that the common field holds the density that you have claimed it in. You reduce the vibration of anything the moment it is named. When Sally is known as Joyce, she is no longer Sally. When Joyce is known as 5 years old or 20 years old, she is known in a specific way. To move to an agreement to the idea of Joyce being an expression of God that can know itself in varying forms and various ideas of time and space, that the form Joyce has taken will not always be the form she holds, that the name Joyce is simply an idea that she has accrued evidence for, you can understand that the manifest divine come as you is actually already existing at a level of tonal accord beyond what you have known. Beyond what you have known is incredibly important to understand, because you seek the old menu, you seek the known to decide what can and will be. And the legacy of choices that you have are in most ways inscribed upon the landscape that you abide in. We are not at war, we are at peace. We are at war, we are not at peace. We are happy, we are sad, we are wealthy, we are poor, and the idea of opposites accrues evidence for itself. And the binding that these things claim as separate from source must be understood as a human creation. Everything in form is in some ways a symbol of the manifestation of the divine, known in varying ways, in varying tone, with varying meanings attached to them. When you lift to what we call the upper room, you move through the lower realm of vibrational agreement, and in some ways you pierce a veil of separation to what exists beyond the old. What exists beyond the old has not yet been named or comprehended through the old litany of prior choice, has not been denied you either, except you have denied it because you have not known you were allowed here. And when you realize, which means know, that you are allowed here, you come to an agreement of what has always been true, what is immutably and always true, what cannot be other, which is the source that creates all things. You may call it God if you wish, you may call it nothing if you wish, you may call it everything if you want. It really matters not. The idea of naming something in every instance, including the text that we have been authoring, is a way in some ways to reduce something to something that somebody else can comprehend. When you move into the absolute and the experience of the absolute, the divine that is you is announcing itself always in the simple statement of truth. I am, I am, I am. And as it claims this, it announces itself in presence and being. I have come. I am in this alignment in my true state. I have moved beyond the denial of the divine, which has been my home in the common field, and what is available to me, what I may now know and experience and trust, is other. Other is the correct word, other than I have known and not yet named. When you move to the unnameable, and God, as we have said, is unnameable, you can do your best to give it a number, to give it an idea, to attach some letters to it to create meaning and relationship. But God itself in its fullness is unnameable because it simply is. The vastness of God simply is. And this vastness of God exists within each of you as the monad, or the Christ itself, or the divine spark, or the deliverance of God in humanity. Now, to understand what that simply means is to understand that while everything is divine, not everything that you understand yourself in relationship to has denied its own divinity. We suspect that the goldfish in the bowl on your desk knows its divinity far more than you may, because it simply is. It is being. It is simply as it is in its experience of being. And we are not reducing you to the level of goldfish, but we are saying, indeed, you have created vast complications in your desire to make yourself important. You are important, yes, but to be in awareness of your claim of the absolute. I am in God, I am of God, and I am with God, not only relinquishes the need to be the king in the throne, wielding a scepter of command. Let me manifest the house, and the boyfriend, and the bigger car, and the better job. It claims you in agreement, in vibrational accord to all that is. Underline the word all and say it to yourself. All that is. every potential, every possibility, all those things that have not yet been named or claimed as in and as you may understand them through language and form.